Hello, my loves. I've had some wonderful requests recently around working with specific oracle decks and specific tarot decks, and if I could speak to how to work with clarifying, especially around some of these more collage themed decks, which whoever thought in the world that I would have so many collage themed decks and I would be speaking so much about collage themed tarot decks, but I have really grown to love them. And I've had two wonderful requests over the last few weeks, one of which is going to be coming to the channel over the next week or so, and that is clarifying Kim Krans Archetypes Oracle, using that deck as a clarifier to tarot. Wonderful request. Thank you so much to the viewer who requested that. But in this week's video, we're going to be working with the Ritual Tarot, clarifying that with the Hollar Moon Mountain Oracle. Now, the Ritual Tarot, Tiara May, has just posted as of yesterday that she is offering pre-orders. So I do feel comfortable putting this tutorial out there because I know some of you don't like it when I talk about decks that are currently out of print. But that deck is about to be reprinted and you can purchase pre-orders for it. I will put the link to Tiara May's website down below. Hollar Moon Mountain Oracle is one of my favorite oracle decks. It's a beautiful, powerful oracle deck, and that is, to my knowledge, still available for purchase via the Fabulous Artists Etsy shop. So I'm going to put that link in the description box below. I'm also going to briefly demonstrate, after working with the Ritual Tarot, the mass-produced Goddess of Love Tarot, clarifying that with the Hollar Moon Mountain Oracle. So if the Ritual Tarot is out of your price range or it's not accessible for you for whatever reason, I do have a mass-produced collage style themed deck that we're going to work with. And what I'm going to do is demonstrate in this video how you can clarify a collage themed tarot deck with an oracle deck that has a one theme title image for each card, and that is very much based on connecting with the imagery of the oracle deck. So you do not need to use either of these specific decks to clarify in the way that I'm going to demonstrate. So you may feel more called to work with I don't know, the Darkwood Tarot, and to clarify with a different oracle deck, maybe Coastal Curiosities. Please feel free to go ahead and do that after watching this video. This is just meant to encourage and inspire and demonstrate for you how to work with these two decks or similar themed decks in your collection and practice. And I thought it was a wonderful request. It was very inspiring, and inspiring to think about how would I share that within our community. So, all right, here we go. I'm gonna have a little sip of tea here, guys. Now, I'm going to speak first of all, we'll start with the Ritual Tarot. I'm going to speak first of all to clarifying a specific card within your tarot spread. So let's say in the center of your tarot spread, you have the King of Cups. And let's say that our tarot spread is that you are looking for more insight into your spiritual path at this time. And the King of Cups is not the only card in your spread, but it's in the center of your spread. It's a core card. You're not 100% sure how you want to interpret this, or even how it should be interpreted. And you want to work with an oracle deck to clarify this card. Oracle decks are amazing tools to clarify a tarot spread. So we're going to go over to the Hollar Moon Mountain. And what I like to do is ask, either silently or out loud, the tarot gods and my own personal gods, clarify my King of Cups, please. So I always say, kind of clarify my tarot card, and I usually say or speak that inwardly. Clarify this card for me. Clarify how this applies to the spiritual path at this time. This is beautiful. So the calling card is clarifying our King of Cups energy. What do we do with this? I understand this can feel a little bit overwhelming. How are we supposed to interpret this as an aspect of our spiritual craft and practice that we're embracing at this time? So the first thing that I always tap into is, what am I seeing and what am I feeling? I'm very drawn to the darkness that our king is reaching out towards. I'm also very drawn to our raven here, but also this It looks like these are blossoms or blooms that are beginning to grow on this tree. However, in the reflection of the image here in the camera, they look almost like mushrooms to me. Now, in offering clarification here, based on what I see first and foremost, for me, mushrooms speak of a consciousness that is interwoven and connected, right? It's almost like a web of consciousness that we're pulling on. The raven, for me personally, is a messenger. So I'm looking at this as I have a guide or a deity that is attempting to connect and communicate with me as part of my spiritual experience right now. The calling card in its title and in what stuck out to me in the imagery, more even than the raven, is what I have going on back here. This is letting me know that there's a being or an aspect of my personal spiritual path that wishes to communicate with me, probably around the shadow component because of this darkness that I'm drawn to, and the kind of front and center darkness of the raven, right? So we're working with shadow. I'm also drawn to the blue in the sky and the mountains here in the background. This is very important with collage themed decks. I really want you to pay attention to what sticks out to you in the imagery, okay? Now for me, blue is all about throat chakra and expression. So this deity or guide wishes to communicate with me, to speak directly to me. There's an affirmation here in my spiritual practice to communicate, to talk to this specific deity. Now, the King of Cups for me, as a reader and as a witch and priestess on my own path, speaks of a masculine-centered deity in this pull, and that I would be working with a shadow-themed deity. Now, you might feel called to perhaps Odin with the ravens, or Neptune, Poseidon here, because it is the King of Cups. For me personally, I would be called to work with Hades or an aspect of Ra with this energy here behind. This is almost looking like a sundial to me in the reflection. So I might work with Hades here personally, or Ra. If this was a client reading, I would definitely be encouraging them to work with Hades, Karen, or perhaps Azrael or Azazel, because we are working with that shadow work theme here. So the main message from the tarot card that I'm pulling out is that there's a new face of deity, or a face of deity I haven't walked with in some time, that's asking to connect with me on my spiritual path, and they want direct communication. So what I might do off of this is draw an additional card and do a bit of astral travel or inner temple guided journey work. Well, we wouldn't call it a guided journey work because it would be self-led in this situation, but some form of journey work, astral travel, where I communicate and connect with this male face of deity. That additional card pull would give me insight into what this deity wishes to speak to us about. So let's pull an additional clarifier there. What does this King of Cups essence wish to encourage me to focus on in my journey work with them? And here we have the cleansing card. So there's some form of energetic clearing or cleansing within my field that this particular face of deity wishes to offer me in journey. This is how I would clarify the tarot card, by pulling other cards off of it and tapping into what I feel. Now, how did I get to clearing? Well, the card itself says cleansing, and there's a bathtub here. And it's an old bathtub, probably an abandoned building, and it lets me know that there may be something that's draining me energetically. There's a literal drain right here that I could work with clearing with this face of deity and be more empowered and feel more like myself in my own skin, if you will. So that's an example of how you can clarify from a free-form spiritual spread perspective, working with the Ritual Tarot and the Hollar Moon Mountain Oracle. Now, let's say you are working with a specific spread and you're unsure of what the meaning is. So let's say you're working with a 3-card spread, past, present, and future, in regards to a connection in your life. So I have the Hanged One, the 2 of Wands, and the 7 of Wands, excuse me, showing up. Now, let's say I want some insight into this connection. It could be a romantic partnership in my life, but it also could be a friendship or a connection I have with a family member, and I want to understand the connection. So I'm using a set spread, past, present, future. The 2 of Wands lets me know in the past that we were really connecting on building and moving forward. The Hanged one in the present lets me know that there's a little bit of stuck energy, stagnation in this connection. And the future energy with the Seven of Wands is letting me know that there's going to be some boundaries implemented in the future. Now, let's say I want to understand, okay, so if the boundaries are enacted, where do they lead in regards to the connection? Six of Swords, a beautiful ability to move forward together. So it's definitely an affirmation. And if this little reading resonates for you with someone in your life, a connection in your life, there's still growth to be experienced in this connection. There's still life in this connection. It's a bit stagnant at the moment, but if boundaries can be set, we can move forward in a thriving way in the connection. Now, let's say I'm confused about two things here. What's within the stagnation and who needs to set the boundary? The first thing I do with a collage themed deck, especially, but with any deck, is I look at what sticks out to me, what I see, and what I feel. So here, the head inverted really profoundly sticks out for me, as well as these kind of half arches, these circles, these spheres cut in half on each edge, kind of bordering the energy. One of us is too stuck in their head. One of us may feel stagnant in our life in general. There's a perspective shift that needs to be accessed. What's inside of that perspective shift? Here's where we clarify. Emotions. So we're literally working with the elemental trump of water, which is the Hanged Man or the Hanged One, we are clarifying with the emotions card. One of us is very stuck in our head about the emotions we have in regards to the connection. Look at that. Even the energy with the vessels and the way things feel stuck, right? There's something emotionally that isn't being acknowledged. It's more being thought about instead of expressed between both individuals. Could it be that the boundary that needs to be set is communication around emotions? Now I pull a clarifier home. For me, this is an affirmation, yes. So when I look at a yes or no question, if I'm receiving a card that as soon as I draw it, I feel warmth in my heart, that's a yes. If I get a nothing feeling or a cold feeling, that's a no for me in a reading. So this lets me know that yes, the boundary that must be set is real communication around the actual emotions both people are feeling. Instead of both people being silent, withholding, both or one, of the individuals being silent and withholding and not expressing the emotions. So yes, this is the boundary that needs to be set. Honest communication around emotions. Now let's say I want further clarification here. How do we then begin communicating in a new way around our emotions? Draw a card. The cleansing card. So if this resonates for you, there's a definite theme. I would offer the impetus on you, if this is resonating, is to work with a face of deity, quite possibly that King of Cups energy, to clear your energy field so you can really be sure about what are your emotions and not things you're picking up from other individuals. And then to express that in a non-confrontational way, but a way that allows for authentic communication, perhaps at a time when both individuals don't feel activated around something, right? But maybe you both meet for a cup of tea at a location that neither of you associate with the connection, that allows it to be neutral. And then you can both just speak gently with each other from that space, right? So the further clarifier there being the cleansing card, we really start to see where the stagnation is and that the boundary is around authentic communication. Now let's say that we want to ask, okay, what can I do in regards to this, right? Because the point of power always lies within ourselves. Now we have the home card. This is a very clear message. So we did have the home card as the yes in color. Now I have the home card in black and white here, clarifying where my point of power is or where your point of power might be in regards to this friendship, this business connection, this family member, this romantic partner. Our point of power here in regards to the emotional authenticity, the boundary setting, is really about being present with our emotions, with our side of the fence, if you will. We may need to be really honest that perhaps this individual has interacted with us in a way that's caused us to withdraw, that's caused us to feel defensive, or that's caused us to want to hide and protect ourselves. But the communication isn't about what the other person has done wrong, right? It's more, the communication would be more what came up for us emotionally and how we wish to move forward, communicating perhaps in a kinder way with each other, so that there isn't a need to withdraw and protect at such a powerful level as we might be experiencing in the friendship, the connection, the partnership at this point in time. So you see how we build, we ask questions, we build, we pay attention to what we see in the imagery and what we feel within. Particularly in collage style decks, I really want you to pay attention to, if this tutorial feels like it's something that can work with your practice, I really want you to pay attention to what is my eye drawn to immediately within the imagery. What does that symbolism represent for me? Then working with your oracle deck to clarify. Now, a one-word themed deck with kind of striking imagery or imagery that's not overwhelming in the oracle deck is really nice when you're working with a collage tarot deck, because there's typically so many layers within that collage deck. So the clarity, the kind of simplicity of the imagery in an oracle deck almost gives you a contrast that can let you find that threshold to understand the clarification you're desirous of in the tarot spread itself. So we're going to do one final kind of tutorial style mini pull here. And I'm going to use the Goddess of Love Tarot in case you do not have the Ritual Tarot. It's not accessible for you to work with, but you still want to feel more confident in interpreting collage style decks. So what I want to do with this one is a daily draw. Let's say we're drawing a card for ourselves for the day. And the theme here is, what do I need to know today? And we get the Queen of Wands. Now let's say we feel stumped about this imagery. The first thing I want you to do, same thing as with the Ritual Tarot here, is pay attention to what you are drawn to within the imagery. I'm really drawn to this red blossoming flower from which our queen's torso is rising. I like how it feels that she's being almost like wrapped up and held in that bloom. There feels like there's a warmth here. But let's say I feel confused about, well, how am I being held today? What is this energy that is comforting and supporting me and allowing me to blossom as the Queen of Wands, taking up space in her world? So now I go to my Hollar Moon Mountain Oracle. Oh, this is perfect. Look at that. The Visitation card in color is clarifying. This is gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Okay. The cardinal for me is a messenger from my beloved dead. So the holding, the loving support that's going to allow us to be in our divine feminine essence of the Queen of Wands for this day comes from the other side. Take a moment and think of someone who's passed that you love, that you still feel energetically supporting you from the other side. Or perhaps a guide or a god or goddess that you feel supports you from the other side. Just take a moment and feel into that. And now let's ask them, what is their message of support that allows us to be embodied in our sense of power, sensuality, and presence? And that clarification is the Rise card. Now let's notice what we feel very drawn to. For me, this image of the sun coming up over the mountains really sticks out. And so the message from my beloved dead, and this may be an affirmation for you, the message from your beloved dead, your ancestor, guide, face of deity here, the support that they are offering is believing in yourself. And also that you can rise from the ashes, even if what you have been moving through feels dark or heavy, confusing, stuck, or stagnant. Maybe physically you've been feeling very depleted and it's frustrating to have such energy within your spirit, but to feel like your body cannot match that. The message here, the support that's coming through within this Queen of Wands, is that there will be a shift in the experience, that there is a dawn rising for us, there is a new beginning that we can embrace, and that if we can love and be present with ourselves, we can greet the energy of this day in our daily draw, believing in ourselves and showing up able to express ourselves truthfully as who we are, not stuck in a heavy energy of disappointment or loss, but able to find, even within those more shadowed experiences, a truth, an understanding, and an awareness that we can emanate and express with anyone or anything we come into contact with as we move about our day. Now, if this pull particularly resonates for you personally, I would say you might really want to work with the color red here as we move through this day, whenever you find this video. Red is connected to root chakra, and it's very much about that aspect of empowerment and taking up space, believing in ourselves, knowing that we have something to express. Think about how red can be almost confrontational. It can represent emotions that don't necessarily feel easy, right? Perhaps anger and rage, or lust or sensuality, right? Red is a color of going all the way, of being in it all the way, and of showing up all the way. So you might want to work with this color, or just pay attention to when this color shows up as you are moving through your day, affirming for you to tap into the guidance and support of the energy that is connected with you as you move throughout your physical day. So these are some examples of how you can interpret collage style decks, clarifying with an oracle deck. Remember, like I said, really pay attention to what you see, pay attention to what you feel, pay attention to what the imagery that sticks out to you represents for you. Not only in tarot traditionally, not only from an art history perspective, not only from the deck creatrix or creator's perspective, but what does that symbolism represent for you personally? Then work with the card title and the openness of the imagery in your oracle deck to clarify and bring insight to the feeling and the initial understanding you have tapping into that imagery within the collage style deck. Don't try to look at the image as a whole. Pick that one thing. For me, in this instance, it's this beautiful supportive blossoming that's happening underneath her torso here of the rose. I'm not worried about what the angels represent. I'm not worried about what this upright rose represents. I'm not worried about the crown chakra aspect here. I'm tapped into what's sticking out to me today. This is what makes collage style decks fun to have a long-term practice with, because each time you come to the deck, something different is going to stick out to you. Each time you pull the Queen of Wands and the Goddess of Love tarot, something different will stick out to you. So I hope this has made collage style tarot decks more accessible to the viewer who requested this, and also some insight into how I clarify with Oracle when it comes to tarot readings in general. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, guys. I'm sending you, as always, oceans of love, and I will, of course, see you in the next video. Take care.